Alright, there it is.
Alright. I feel really cool now. Alright, boys, let's drink.
Cheers.
Ayo, who's ready to party? Clink.
Clink, clink.
To the newest episode.
Oh, this is going to be a good one, boys. Alright, welcome back to another episode of the 4099. I'm your host, Nick, with your host, Dima. And tonight, we're talking about immigration.
Yes, we are. And for the topic of immigration, we thought it would only be right to bring a very, very good friend of mine's over for his first rodeo, Samuel Silverstein.
Hello! I'm grateful to y'all for inviting me. I'm not an immigrant, but I do work with immigrants. I see immigrants every day.
You could be an immigrant. You're an immigrant into my life. Brand new. You got some paperwork to file. Jokes aside.
Sharpen my pen.
Jokes aside.
Welcome to the fucking show, dog.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Me and Dima have been friends since the 7th grade when we were both the new kids at our middle school. So...
Yeah, 7th grade rolled around, and, you know, that was around the time that puberty probably hit, and everybody was just trying to find their way through life and find themselves. So here, me and Sam are, you know, coming to a brand new school. It's a private Jewish school. It was a day school, so...
have we found ourselves yet?
I don't know. I don't think any, like... people find themselves until like way later.
Still reaching.
Yeah.
Still reaching. Still trying to find it. Yeah.
Tell you what, boys, I'm probably going to finish it before I get to the description.
All right.
What are you drinking?
What are you drinking,
Oh my
Nick?
God. All right, so coming straight from Foothills Brewery. Let me see. I don't know exactly where they're located.
They're in North Carolina.
They are.
Sure.
Oh my God.
They're in Winston?
Homie, dog. They are in Winston. They're like next door neighbors.
Yeah. That's why we.
Yeah. So tonight I'm on their Sexual Chocolate Imperial Stout. This thing is dangerous. I'm talking 9.6%.
Good God.
That's.
You never fail to have something that's
Well,
a power, like a
what
power.
What makes it so dangerous is its taste. It's good.
Is
It's good.
Can I ask you something?
Shaboomafoo.
Do you share beers after you open them?
Yeah, I do. Please, if you like some, take some.
I'm curious.
Because I'm gonna crush it.
I mean, you made it sound so
I'm
good.
gonna be on round 2 real quick. Dima.
Passing around the goblet.
That's so good. That's ridiculous.
Whoa. Yeah. That's chocolatey.
Yo, boys, Foothills, you killed it. I appreciate that. Thank you. My heart is full for the night. I had a sloppy, miserable, messy, rainy, gross, like stay under the covers and don't show your face. Groundhog Day kind of like business day. And Jesus, this is where it's at. I'm into it.
This is getting you right.
Mm-hmm. Set that down before you get in trouble.
Sam, what are you drinking on tonight?
This is the Pisgah Turtleback Brown Ale, and this is my last of my 6-pack, and it's so good.
So you're making it last.
Yeah, I'm gonna be savoring this one. This is North Carolina mountains, somewhere in the mountains. I don't know.
It was like Pisgah National Forest.
Pisgah National Forest. So you'll go to Asheville and they'll have Pisgah beers on tap at every bar. And here, you can get it at Best Way.
Best Way. Is that like a North Carolina thing, or?
I think that's a Triad thing.
Is it a Triad thing?
I don't know. I just know it's a Walker and Elam crossroads thing.
That's where I know.
Yeah.
That's where I know
And
Best Way from.
then you're on a revisit tonight, right?
I am on a revisit, folks. This is my second round with Stem Cider's very own off-dry apple cider.
And they were from Colorado?
They were from Colorado, and they are from Colorado. That's absolutely
Colorado.
right. Yep, and this is it's the one.
It's the jam?
It's the one.
All right.
I hear it's good. You want to try some?
Yeah, let me give it a whirl.
Let's sniff it first. make sure it's safe.
Oh, it's got a little drippy on me, but it's good.
Yeah, try it.
That's an easy
Yeah,
sipper.
I'll give it a
That's
go.
an easy drink.
I mean, do you guys want to explain what this is for the folks that are viewing and listening? Like what in terms of taste?
Well, it definitely, sometimes you get a brown ale and it's more of a brown than an ale, I guess. It doesn't have a full-bodied flavor like you'd expect from an ale, but this one has a dark feel. Like it's got I don't know how to explain what a dark beer tastes like.
It's subtle but bold.
It's bold. It's full bodied.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Like it's laid back and full bodied.
It's full bodied.
It's good. And I don't know how else to explain that, but I think what I would say is that's like the best version of that I've had in a while.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started on brown ales. I started with was it Newcastle?
Oh yeah.
And for the longest time, I thought that was the
thing.
Jones, Yeah. I was like, this is where I lay my hat.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, it's not terrible, but I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get some immigration talk.
Well, yeah.
I know it's kind of a hot topic button in like politics now. So
It's a hot topic for sure. Before we go on and discuss this, we first and foremost want to thank all of our listeners and our viewership for coming out and listening to us once again and viewing us once again. We got all types of cool stuff going on. We got a new lighting kit and a whole bunch of other stuff. So thank you guys so much for coming out. And let's dive right into it. Who wants to kind of get to it?
Well, I know y'all had a couple of topics.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I know Dima. I know you're an immigrant and your family immigrated.
Absolutely.
Are you an immigrant?
I am, I believe, a third generation natural born citizen.
Me too. I'm third generation.
That being said, I know that my great grandparents were fresh off the boat, so to speak. On my mother's side of the family, they come from Portugal and Puerto Rico, and then on my father's side, I think they're primarily English. And I think they've been here since way on back when.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it'd definitely be not interesting, but important to kind of get your guys' view, and because you guys are American, you guys were born here, on immigration. Maybe how you guys view even just the term immigration and what comes along with that, and then I'll kind of give my own understanding of it coming from an immigrant kind of situation. So, what do you guys? I mean, how do you view that term, or what is associated with it?
So you and I touched on the subject briefly the other night. So my background and like the way I'm perceived is primarily white. Even though I'm not like completely just Caucasian. I'm a lot of mixed bags, kind of like a mutt, if you would. Purebred American mutt. And this dog looking for a bone. Anyway, but yeah, so I come from pretty conservative roots, and I was brought up in like kind of like, I would say like right wing kind of like households, as we're like the men in my life, in my family. Although I would say they harbor no ill will, are very isolated in their ideals. They don't really like change. So then like the idea of like new people coming into the country is like something of a threat to them. Me personally, I've been to other countries and met a lot of people from different cultures, And I couldn't disagree more. Like, it's not a threat.
Right.
Like, yeah, I just don't see where, you know, increasing like the mind share and the potential for growth as a bad thing. I don't see how it could be a bad thing.
Well, do you think you feel that way because of your experience with different cultures as well as traveling?
Entirely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Because if I'd have stayed like in a small town around the same people forever, the idea of new people coming in would seem like a threat. It would seem scary. It'd be like, well, great. You know, this guy's gonna come into town and work for, you know, like 80% of what I work for.
Right.
And I'm gonna be out of a job, and there goes my livelihood. And yeah, so I hate them, and let's stop this kind of thing. But because that isn't the case with me, because I have seen the way others live and do business, like, I understand that it's an opportunity as opposed to not an opportunity.
Right. I mean, and Sam, how do you, what is your kind of, maybe even explain a little bit of what your background is in terms of that, in terms of thinking about it early on, and maybe how that's transitioned throughout, I guess, even your experiences, whether you've traveled and things of that nature.
Okay. So I'm coming from a place of real, like, heartfelt support for immigrants in the United States. I never experienced moving to another country permanently, but I appreciate that my great-grandfather immigrated from Ukraine to escape pogroms. So,
and can you explain that term for viewers and people listening? What is the term pogrom?
It's basically when a very large group of very angry people come and attack. I've only heard it used against a Jewish community, a Jewish shtetl in Eastern Europe, where in Eastern Europe there's all this anti-Semitic violence happening for centuries. And in Ukraine, it was a Cossack group that attacked this, like, the Jewish community in Ukraine, and my great-grandfather retaliated, ended up in legal trouble, and had to escape the country, came to the United States, and then his family came later, and they lived in Brooklyn. And on my mother's side, they escaped persecution in England as Quakers. So my dad's Jewish, my mom's Quaker. So that's part of how I see being an American, is finding a place to live where you're able to express who you are.
Absolutely.
That's where I'm coming from, and that's the ideal that I am, like, pretty serious.
That's how you look at
living
immigration.
Yeah, especially in America. Yeah, I'm pretty serious about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. My background is I'm coming from the capital of a very small country, sandwiched in between, landlocked in between the Ukraine and Romania. Very small place. My mom ended up entering a lottery for the green card. And she did it as a joke initially, and he's like, whatever, like, just to mess around, fuck around. And then turns out, like, what is it, like 3 or 6 months later, she ended up getting a letter from whatever organization or governmental kind of thing was associated with that. And next thing I knew, I'm on a freaking plane heading over to the States. And it was obviously a lot more difficult than that, right? Like, you have to go to a U.S. embassy, you have to get your papers sorted out, you have to find a way to sell your apartment, you have to find a way to figure out how and what's going to go on when you get to America, right? So it's a lot of logistical work associated with immigration.
How old were you when you immigrated?
I was 7. So I I was in a position where I definitely knew, and you know, Moldova was a country that was the part of the USSR, so it was a very Russian-based culture. And so I basically tell people I come from like Russia because people don't know where Moldova is, right?
It's funny you say that. I was talking to Max about that the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, when I tell people that I'm from Moldova,
by the way, Max is my little brother."
He's like, "Yeah," they're like, "Where's that?" And he's like, "Well, it's basically Russia." And they're like, "Oh, like you're from the Russia? Like that's another Russia?"
The Russia.
Like, are you from like the main Russia or like one of the other Russias?
The other Russias.
One of the B-side Russians. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely a little weird telling people that, especially like now with all of the political stuff going on and people looking at Russia a certain way and even like the way that they portrayed Russian people as, you know, I don't know, villains or people that are usually like quote unquote the bad guys or, you know, the evil bosses and stuff like that. So
like I'm pretty sure Gru has a Russian accent. Gru. You know what I'm talking about from Despicable Me?
Yeah, there are a lot of villains with Russian accents.
Yeah. Or like if you guys remember Rocky and Bullwinkle, the villains in there, they were pseudo-Russian.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at like James Bond or all the different other like action-filled movies, a lot of the villains are Russian.
This Cold War thing.
You know, I don't have a problem with it because, you know, at the end of the day, we, and when I say we, I mean Russian people do the same thing. They have the same kind of approach to viewing Americans. The only thing that America does have going for it
is a semi-successful nuclear program.
I mean, that
the atomic bomb.
But I was also gonna say it's very, very. It's found a way to branch out with the U.S. dollar and with just huge social media platforms. You know, YouTube, Google, all of these different.
The whole world looks up to the United States,
yeah,
or feels some way about. Maybe not look up to it, but everyone's got.
We also have like a viable navy, but. No offense to Russia, but man, that Navy's hurting.
Yeah, I'm not. That's the thing. Like, I'm not really familiar with a lot of the just because I've left so young. I'm not familiar with the very deep political side of that country.
I want you to tell the viewership your parents' occupations prior to coming over. I love that.
Well, all right. So I'm coming from a household that is very high in terms of education and level of education. Both of my parents, mom and dad, had master degrees, which is another topic that's interesting. The conversion of degrees coming from one country to another. But anyway, so, and my dad, coming from an engineer background, worked at a factory. I think he was assembling, I don't want to say anything just because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but he worked at a factory assembling on the production line. And my mom was a music teacher for a local Jewish kindergarten. So that's where they were coming from. And then when we moved over here, this is a funny story. My mom, whenever she was trying to find a job, she applied to just a bunch of different, you know, usually low-paying positions, such as, you know, like you got the Harris Teeters, the Food Lines, that kind of thing. And they actually turned her down because her degree was quote unquote too specific for working at a place like Harris Teeter, you know, or bagging groceries and stuff like that. So she had to find a way to kind
of cater her resume.
Yeah.
But no, I've had that problem not to myself, but I've had friends and peers in the Navy that got out with their like stacked resumes and been denied employment because they were quote unquote too qualified or overqualified.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous.
It is a problem.
Like, that is absurd to say that someone is overly qualified. Like, obviously, they know they want to work here. Like, come on, man. But,
yeah, I mean, but you know, you have situations where you know, like the manager, right, or a higher positioned person or individual working at said place is sometimes, unfortunately, feels a little threatened maybe by the prospect of a person coming in with a master's degree or some other higher form of education coming into that kind of business environment, right?
Wow.
So, travel. Travel is, I feel, segueing and right into travel, our point of our topic of concentration is very, very relevant, I feel like, now, because the accessibility that everyone has to travel, even if it's in the States, to different states, and then when it comes to out of state, going to Canada or even going across the pond, right, as they say, to France or whatever, somewhere in Europe or even in Africa or you can go anywhere. This is the first time in history where the average Joe, right, has the ability to hop on a plane and go anywhere they want.
Yeah.
As long as it's within like the safe contexts of anywhere they want.
Right. You need disposable income though, to travel.
Right.
Hikey.
Yeah.
Well, we've all been to at least 3 continents.
Yeah.
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 All right, so for the beautiful viewership, Samuel, where have you, because I'm very interested, where have you traveled to? Where have you found yourself?
I spent a lot of time in India.
Yeah.
I lived in India for 10 months last year, and I came back in April. Right now it's February. And I was there for 10 months, and I also studied abroad in the same city, so I was there for total over a year.
And I don't want this to be downplayed, because I really want folks to know how freaking brilliant you are. You got a grant from... Explain the...
It was a Fulbright English teaching assistantship. So I was paired with a school, and I was teaching in a local private school, middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I was the spoken English teacher. So along with their English teaching classes, I would teach with a communicative approach, try and help the kids actually get their ideas across and converse, and also use correct grammar while they're talking and stuff.
So, how was that? Was it the first time you had done that? And when I say the first time you'd done that, I mean, was it the first time that you went somewhere just completely different to a place like India, where the culture is completely different than the U.S. culture, right? And taught specifically. Yeah,
that was the first time I had studied abroad in India, and I had helped teach like a music class there, like 2 years prior.
Yeah,
but that was total immersion as far as I had my own apartment. I went to work every day.
Yeah,
I had to figure out expenses, figure out a conversion, and also figure out how to communicate with everyone, how to get around, how to assert myself in certain situations, how to be respectful, as long as other people were being respectful.
Yeah, totally.
It's a little different there. It was,
and that experience, you'd say, kind of opened you up a little bit more in terms of to the world and your understanding of it. It kind of, do you feel like it gave you the ability to... Do you feel like it gave you the ability to open those shutters up a little bit and put you in a very uncomfortable situation where you're forced to kind of directly interact with everyone around you? What are you laughing at?
Well, so I've personally been in some like shitty situations abroad.
Yeah.
And in no short way is that chalked up to alcoholism and just being a dirty bitch of a sailor.
Yeah.
Like, just being like, I'm off the boat. Fuck yeah. Let's get in a fight, drink everything, and maybe find like something to bed down kind of thing.
Yeah.
And something could have been anything. Anyway, not here, not there. You know what I mean? So, oh god.
Right.
I don't know. I don't.
Are you saying that your view on going to a new place because of your circumstances being on a submarine for freaking what, like 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, man, that's intense.
So, like,
and you'd finally get off and you'd be in a totally new environment. And you'd be like, what do you do?
And like a lot of times, like, you don't speak the same language as the population, so you're just kind of like beside yourself, trying to figure out how the hell to get a beer, or a steak, or a burger, or a ride.
And where were you? Like what place are you trying to find a burger or a beer? Is that classified?
No, I mean I can tell you everywhere I've been basically. The first port I've ever been to, like the first one I ever went as a Liberty port, was Limassol, Cyprus.
Cyprus, yeah.
Wow.
So for the folks that don't know,
So Cyprus,
that's Mediterranean Sea, right?
Yeah, it's a small island country in the Mediterranean, kind of like the northeast side of the Mediterranean, if you're just looking at the globe or map or something. And it's it's closer to Greece than anything else, I think.
well, Turkey.
Yeah, and so the country is actually kind of split demographically. The southwest portion is mostly Greek, then the northeast is primarily Turkish, kind of under control of or controlled by like Russian mob. And I hate to say that, but it is what it is.
I had no idea that.
And for the most part, I'm gonna go ahead and crack my
Number
second.
two. And what is it?
It's a big boy.
I felt that when you opened that.
It's Newgrass Brewing Company's Death by 1,000 Cuts Mosaic IPA.
That sounds
We
like
all fucking know
a heater.
that Big Boy Nick isn't an IPA fan.
You got a lot
But
of
our
ounces in there.
Our homegirl down the road
Yeah.
at Gate City Growlers was like, "It's a go." So I'm gonna roll the dice and see how the boys and girls out at Shelby, North Carolina. In Shelby, North Carolina. I can't talk tonight. I apologize.
You're good, man.
I'm excited to try this IPA.
Yeah, you're too excited.
And
right
that's
now.
not a normal thing for me. But yeah, so Newgrass is coming out of Shelby, North Carolina, and they're rolling out the heat with a 6.5.
Okay, all right.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby
It's
at all.
actually, I mean, it's pretty like mid-low ground for an IPA, but hopefully the flavor's banging. I'm rolling dice here.
And he didn't need a bridge, no language barrier for that beer.
It's kind of got like a fruity smell.
Giving it a whiff.
That one is served in English.
Okay. It's a laid back IPA.
Okay.
I can appreciate this.
So it's not in your face.
It's not that like. Remember earlier episodes I was saying that IPAs are for people with like no taste buds.
Yeah.
Where my taste buds go?
Like if you don't have a sense of smell, you might appreciate an IPA. This one right here, I can play with it.
Well, there you have it.
I love a good IPA. Thank you.
Passing the goblet around as usual. It's very customary on this podcast to pass the goblet around.
Right?
Are you gonna?
I'll give it a go because I'm not a fan of
Wow,
IPA
that
either.
was delicious.
You might like it, dog. It's not a.
Whoa.
That's delicious.
Oh man.
I don't think
Is it
Zima likes it.
Peachy?
I know it's got a little bit of a
fruity,
fruit flavor.
yeah.
I was thinking it tasted kind of berryish. I don't know.
It definitely has that
peachy
same little.
citrus
It's like it's a bold flavor, but it's in the
Yeah.
background.
They don't disclose too much about that. They got a lot of warnings on here. Yada,
Shelby
like,
came through on that one.
this might impact your ability to like drive a car, machinery. Also, could cause some health problems.
Does it say anything about podcasts on there?
No, but they fucking are.
Yeah.
Said podcasts are a go.
$40.99.
we don't abide by the rules.
They say this one goes out to Nick of the 4099 podcast.
Yeah, no, I'll give them this. Like, this is an IPA that may win the day.
It's definitely going to shake up my world.
All right, but yeah, so I guess I'll finish up my story here about Cyprus. Like I said, I was fortunate enough that the majority of the country's population speak English as a secondary language, and I learned that a huge amount of the world, a huge percentage of the globe, actually learn English as a secondary language. And I couldn't appreciate that more as a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out there, like, trying to learn other languages as I'm in the country. And, like, in situ, like, I can Google Translate enough just to get around. But, like, it's not clean, it's not pretty. And it's haggard.
You know, I think that's a good thing, but it's also a setback because of the fact that it doesn't allow you to fully immerse yourself into learning different...
But the fact is that, like, while I'm out there, I am trying to use the language.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which shows that, like, I am trying and that, like, I respect the culture. I'm not out there trying to be like, well, I'm American, you're going to speak American to me.
Yeah.
Because fuck that. No, this is someone else's land, and I'll try my fucking best.
Yeah.
And
well, that's the main thing for me. As long as you give that country, those people, the due respect.
The same way. Like, I appreciate it when people come here and they speak English. Yeah. And while they're here, I want to learn some shit from them. But anyway, so while I'm in Cyprus, I think we were there for like 3 or 4 days. And so I spent some time out in town, getting thrashed and trashed with all my boys. And I remember it was like night 2. I met up with some guys that were from England that were on holiday, and they were all like business guys. And that's when I learned I don't like hanging out with English dudes. No offense to, you know.
Yeah, we love England.
Yeah, like I'm not like
Samuel, your mom. We love your mom, man. No offense to England.
Your family's from England too, right?
Oh, my dad's side.
Oh, your dad's side? Probably goes way back too.
But, yeah, no, so I'm not, like, throwing shade at them, but these boys, like, they were feeling themselves. They were, I mean, in old English terms, they were pricks. And,
Pricks.
Yeah, they were rowdy.
What were they doing in Cyprus?
They were just on some downtime.
Oh, they had just traveled there for vacation or something like that?
They call it holiday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's different than...
Vacation.
Oh, no, I was going to say that's different than being in the Navy and being sent there.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were there for downtime, too.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like a 2-week transit, so, like, before you start doing any missions, they want you to get, like, a last little kick out of life, just in case things go south.
Yeah.
And
keep the morale up.
Yeah, so we're in Cyprus. I'm kicking it with them day 1 or 2. I don't remember exactly. And that was all cool. I learned about this shit called grouse. It's got a picture of a chicken on it. And when you pour water in it or put ice in it, it turns like... It's like a clear liquor. And when you put ice or water in it, it turns cloudy white. Fucking weird. Shit tastes kind of odd. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe like licorice almost. Anyway, the interesting part of the story rolls around the last night. We... one of my good buddies, like actually my best friend from the Navy, and a couple other guys went out to this bar that was on the waterfront. It had a clown's head that you had to walk through to get into the joint, and then there's all these like crazy hammocks all over the place and like beds floating on the beach.
Yeah,
it was a trip.
It was exotic.
They had like a full like stage and this wild bar, and we got there early.
Yeah,
and started drinking and shit, and I ended up like looking at my bank account last minute and being like, yo, I can afford this whole country.
Oof. What a statement.
Right, so
no, you can't.
Basically, we got the best table in the house before anybody showed up for the night.
Yeah.
And once the sun went down, all the Cypriots, the local people, started rolling in. I had ordered all the hookahs. I had ordered all of the bar drinks, and everyone at the table was fat and happy. You know, we were like some sassy little princesses over there, just smoking and drinking, no cares in the world, because Big Nick had this fucking table. Like, solid.
Would people like trade off certain nights, or was it like a...
yes and no.
Yeah.
It just depends who you're with. And so we're living it up, and all the Cypriots are there, and they can barely get a fucking drink in the house because my gluttonous ass is being disrespectful. And the bar manager comes up. He's like, look, I really hate to do this, but all of my other customers, 99% of my customers are complaining that they can't get service because you've already like bought out everything. You have to go. So
it wasn't even like a, hey, can you guys like chill out a little bit? It was like,
no, because we weren't being nice.
oh, I see. Yeah.
Blaming on the alcohol.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
all right, so here's the thing, man. I'm like, all right, yeah, no problem. And I go to cash out, and my bank isn't allowing the transaction because it's international. And I didn't alert them that I would be out of the country.
Oh man.
Yeah, so we're looking at like, I don't know, it was around 1,000 euros,
Sheesh.
which I don't know, roughly $1,300 American.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
And
For a bar night, you know. For a bar night, the camera just went crazy. But go ahead, man.
all right, anyway.
We're focusing on this one now.
Word. Yeah, all right. So the shit got a little hectic. We tried this shit like 15 times, and eventually one of my other buddies was like, "You fucking owe me," and he paid for it.
Wow.
The weirdest thing happened as we're walking out. We had some of the local girls sitting with us,
Yeah.
and as we're leaving, they're like, "We don't want you to go," and we're like, "We don't want to go." And then, so we get in this weird like 7-person kiss thing. Yeah.
Everyone starts kissing.
Yeah, so like it's like 3 or 4 of us guys, and there's like 4 or 5 chicks, and we're all kissing multiple girls at a time. It was fucking gross.
Whoa.
But it was
Sharon Select.
it was hot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I couldn't get any of their names right, but we were locking lips like it was nobody's business. And yeah, then we get out of the club, and as we're walking down, we're headed back towards our hotel, and we get stopped by this bouncer, and he's got this heavy Russian accent. Should have known out the gate that this guy was the bad news, because we all know that Russians are evil. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I'm here.
But he's like, my friend. And we're all like, what's up, man? What's up? And he's like, come on in. No cover charge.
Yeah.
And we're like, hell yeah. Got kicked out of the last joint. We're definitely rolling in here. And he's like, all girl, all good. And we're like, oh, hell yeah. He's like, have a seat. And we notice there's like nobody else in this club. It is like 2 poles, blue lights everywhere, and like, yeah, he sits us down, and we're like chilling. He's like, you need to buy a drink. We're like, fuck yeah, we need a fucking drink.
Yeah.
And we had this one dude with us, and he's like, yo, how much for a water? And he's like, 20 euro. 20 euro
Whoa.
for fucking water. And he's like, no cover charge. Pay for drink. And then these fucking girls come out, and they look like they all been hit by trucks. And we're just like, what the fuck are we getting into? And yeah, so like $20 for $20-some for a fucking water, and then like $40 for like a mixed drink. We're just like, yeah, I think we're done here.
Yeah, that's wild.
And so like we're walking out, and the girls are like, boys, where are you going? Where are you going? And they got the little hoo-ha's out, and the little titty boppers just like and gimping around and shit. And the bouncer's like, you can't leave. And we're like, fuck you, dog. And
yeah,
so we bounce out of there, and he's like screaming at us in Russian or some shit as we're walking out. And yeah, that was more or less the end of Cyprus for us. We got back, we're all trashed, but it was cool.
Wow.
What a
so
night.
at the end of that was, I mean, at the end of it, you feel like it was mostly a positive experience or mostly a negative experience?
Well, I mean,
that's my question. Like, because it's such a mixture. Because it sounds like an adventure.
yeah, and
It does.
A lot of
And
it-
hearing you say it, it sounds like pretty fun.
No, I mean, I enjoyed it. I definitely think we treated the low points well enough that they weren't in like international incidents.
U.S. Navy, man.
Make the New York Times.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to be a headline.
Yeah.
That being said, like we were all pretty edgy, and there's not a lot that would have stopped us from like fucking that guy up. But yeah, no, I actually keep in touch with some of those people I met in Cyprus off and on, and I would say it's a good learning situation.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like it's those kind of things that reinforce travel as a positive experience to have in life. And I've probably got, another 2 hours worth of just me yammering about traveling and all the weird shit that'll happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's never really, anything is never really expected, right? Like when you're here, when you're home, you know your area, you know how people act, you know the culture, you know how people think, right? So you can respond very, very
aptly.
Yeah, exactly. Aptly to the situation. But when you're somewhere else,
Aptly is the word.
Is aptly the word?
I thought it was the word because you meet any person and to a large extent you already know them.
Right.
Because all people have, all people are alike.
Right.
It's the cultural specific responses and ways to tactfully and respectfully get out of situations, assert yourself or let other people take power or whatever. That's the stuff that's culturally specific in a lot of circumstances that you got to know how to do it in order to do it. And, but I think if you have a way with people and you understand yourself and you understand others, I think you can interact reasonably with anybody.
Kind of along what Sam was saying, though, everyone globally, like human, has a sense of me and a sense of purpose or drive. And it's up to the user, yourself, to determine your own sense of me and who I am and my direction, and then to also be able to perceive someone else's drive and direction. And from being able to do that, you can direct yourself and figure out how you want to commingle or coexist with that person or people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well said.
Yeah, that was well said. So, looks like the word of the day.
What's the word of the day?
That's not going to be the word of the day.
All right, that's not going to be the word of the day.
I didn't come up with it.
What was it? Commingle?
No, aptly.
Aptly.
Oh, aptly.
Aptly ought to be the word.
Aptly.
We're gonna wait a little. We're gonna. That was a little teaser. We're gonna wait a little while until we get.
We're gonna hear a different word.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, Samuel.
Yeah.
Do you have a story to share with us? Do you have? I know it may not be
something it made me think about.
Okay, go ahead.
Which was maybe it was a turning point in how I thought about how I was going to live in Varanasi, Benares. That's the city where I was living, Benares. How I was going to live there because I did something that I regretted, and I knew that I didn't want to do it again. So in Benares, you can buy what are called bhang lassis, which, if you know what a lassi is, it's a yogurt drink. You can get a mango lassi at a.
So it's like a Go-Gurt.
Yeah, it's like a Go-Gurt.
Yeah,
I love Go-Gurt.
It's like a Go-Gurt.
Except for like when you get the Go-Gurt and you're like, you got it in your mouth because like that's how you eat Go-Gurt.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And you like lock your like lips around it and it cuts the inside of your lips.
Yeah, no, it's better.
See, my thing.
It's way better.
My thing with
you don't have to with a lassi. You don't have to worry about that.
My thing with Go-Gurt is it's all fine until you get to the very end, and then when you squeeze the end, sometimes it fucking like. All right, there's many jokes that can come out of this, man. I might have to cut that story short. I will not hear the end of it. I will not hear the end of it.
Give us the full.
It gets you. It just fucking just comes out, man.
You get a jet. You get a jet like a jacuzzi. It's like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets messy. Let's just say that.
So anyway, you can get these yogurt drinks, and you can get them with marijuana. You can get them with cannabis.
You get an edible Go-Gurt?
Yeah.
That's
But
dangerous.
on the street, it's legal because there's a Hindu tradition in Benares of using this for, like, I don't know, ritual meditation.
Nick is already interested. He's like, well, sign me up.
Weedy Go-Gurts, dogs.
So they're legal and they're cheap and they're a draw for Western tourists.
Cheap and easy, how I like it.
They're so I didn't consider myself a tourist because I was a teacher.
Right.
I was a teacher.
That is a very interesting observation.
If you're
Right.
if you're a tourist, then you can go in there and get out. You don't have to worry about maintaining a reputation. But if you're a teacher, when you're in society, you wonder if your kids' parents are there.
Yeah, you got a reputation to worry about.
Yeah, because it reflects on the school, and of course it reflects on yourself.
Right.
And Benares,
And for your case, the program that allowed you to...
it reflects on the program as well. Right. So basically, it wasn't a big deal. But I thought, it was one night. I was like, I didn't have that many friends, but I still wanted to, hang out. So I just went out in the city and I got a lassi and I drank it in the shop, right outside the main market in the city, in the middle of downtown, bustling place.
Yeah.
So I sat there and I drank it, and it's like bright green. It's bright green in a clear glass. It's pretty obvious what you're drinking.
Right.
And anyway,
And you're by yourself.
and I'm by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm by myself.
Homie's over here chugging weed shakes.
Yeah.
Get it, Teach?
And they can be pretty strong too. You can ask for it less strong, but man, it costs $50.
Oh.
Costs $50.
I'll have two, please.
Yeah. So
$1 menu.
yeah. So anyway, a couple sat down, a married couple. I started talking with them.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell them I was a teacher. So I told them that I was a student at the university.
Yeah.
And I think they knew I was lying because I said that I was studying Hindi and my Hindi was not there at that moment. So
Well, I mean, you could definitely concoct a pretty strong argument for submerging yourself in the culture and try to learn it, but
I did learn Hindi. I studied it for 4 semesters before going to India. It takes a long time to learn. So I have, at my very best in my life, I had intermediate high Hindi or whatever. But I'm conversational. I can do it.
You can get it.
I can also write it.
so how many written forms are there? Just one?
Yeah, there's one written for it.
So I tried to learn Japanese in high school.
Wow.
I took 2 years of it, and
Wow.
there
Cool.
are 3 written forms.
Oh man, that must have taken forever to learn.
Crisscross didn't know which way was up, dog.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
So right now I'm
It
sitting
just
with
takes so much work to learn.
I'm sitting with 2 gentlemen, one that speaks English, some Hebrew and Russian,
Yeah.
and a gentleman that knows English as well as Hindi
Yeah.
And Hebrew.
and Hebrew.
Nah, I don't know Hebrew. I can't.
You can read, though. You can read Hebrew.
I can read it.
Yes, that's fine.
And I would say that
But
to the group I can cast phrases in Japanese, Arabic, Sanskrit, some Russian, some very broken Russian, and befuddled English.
that's not befuddled English. You're fluent in English,
You think so?
and that makes me think you're underestimating your ability in all the other languages you said.
I do play stupid, but
Yeah, no, I think you know what's going on.
I try to think.
And Sanskrit? Where'd you get Sanskrit?
Well, I spent some time in Bahrain and Dubai and hanging out in the UAE, and you just have to get a good cabbie. I actually had the best cabbie. His name's Yosef, which is a pretty common name. But Yosef was at the time I thought he was a creep ass. I thought that motherfucker was gonna kill me. Truth is, be known, he was looking out for the boy.
Really?
Wait, but why are they speaking Sanskrit? It must be a different language you're thinking of. Sanskrit is like the ancient language in North India. It's like the Latin of.
Wait, no, wait, if I all right,
Sanskrit?
maybe we're all on different pages here, but I think isn't Sanskrit the original
It's
language,
gotta be a different language.
like the first language, like the original language in
English,
ancient Babylon?
English
right?
comes from Sanskrit from over a long.
Was it ancient Babylon that it originated in? I feel like it was.
I don't know. No, it was India.
Was it India?
Yeah, Sanskrit is Indian language. It's like when people like say mantras and stuff.
Yeah.
Like mantras are.
Okay, yeah, no. So the dictionary, Webster's, from the Oxford Dictionary, an ancient Indo-European language of India, in which the Hindu scriptures and classical Indian epic poems are written in, and from which many northern Indian languages are derived.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Aramaic.
Yeah, you're thinking of Aramaic.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay.
It may
all
have
right.
been Aramaic for me as well, then.
No.
Which makes more sense.
No. Because Aramaic originated in Babylon, right? The first civilized, not civilized, that would be the improper
See, Sam,
word.
I told you I know what's going on.
Nah, man. I was like, I wasn't sure whether to ask about it, but I have no doubt that yeah.
Yeah, it might have been Aramaic, I think.
I mean, as
For sure.
far as like my Japanese goes, I can ask little hottie for a phone number.
Yeah.
Can't wait. How?
どういう番号何番ですか？直接ください。
Oh goddamn!
Holy.
Let me get a pen right now. Let me get a pen right now.
So
Oh, man.
in my Japanese class, my teacher told me that I would never do well in Japan because of my English accent.
Huh.
More onto my Southern American English accent.
That's not
That
nice.
being said,
Why would a teacher say that?
well, in
That's
high
not
school,
helpful.
I definitely had more of a draw. Now that I've like lived in more places and visited outside of like my comfort zone, I've kind of toned that down a bit. But I used to be a lot like this, man. Man, I'll tell you what, real quick, you ain't going nowhere.
Well, I think people have negative attitudes about Southern accents. I don't understand it. I think it's stupid. Like at UNC, there would be students coming in with strong Southern accents, and they would try to hide it because they thought that it made them sound dumb.
Well, that's like, okay, so kind of going.
I don't think that.
Well, I
think
learned that a
that's-
lot of Northern chicks dig it.
Well,
They dig it.
They dig it, man.
All right.
they like
You
that.
gotta slang it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But
Coming-
they like I've been hit on just because of the accent.
Yeah.
Coming from a completely different place, like my thing was to kind of do the same thing that you guys are talking about. I would try to hide the Russian accent, Moldovan, but you know I was speaking Russian. I wasn't speaking Moldovan.
How do you ask for a phone number in Russian? And I'm gonna ask you the same thing in Hindu.
Hindi.
Yeah.
Hindi.
Yeah.
Hindu isn't Hindu the. It would be
Hindu is like a religion. Hinduism.
Right.
Hindi is the language.
all right. We'll get to you. How to ask
Ask for a phone number.
phone number in Russian.
Yeah.
Я могу ваш номер получить?
Oh goddamn! Someone give me a pen.
Или you can say что ваш номер? Что ваш номер?
Что ваш номер?
Что
Что?
ваш
Что ваш
номер?
номер? Что ваш номер?
It's like, what's your number?
Now, do I say Nitstibia right?
No,
Does anybody know what I'm saying when I say that?
What is that?
a little bit,
Let's do
but not all the way.
Nitstibia.
No, what he's trying to say is я хочу убить тебя, which means I want to kill you.
So in Predator, there's this scene where this Russian guy is about to go one-on-one with the Predator, and he's got the dude in a grapple. He's gonna pull these fucking pins on these grenades he's got and kill both of them. Total badass. Like, I'm trying to save my friends. This shit means something to me.
Yeah.
And he says Nitstibia, which
We're gonna have to rewind the tape to hear exactly
Yeah.
what he said.
yeah,
But
That's pretty
That
cool.
scene gets me fucking ready. I'm just like, Adrian! So if anyone's a Rocky fan, that's how I felt. I was because that guy, he had the purest heart. He was such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But that motherfucking predator was fucking with his friends, and he was gonna have his head.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was upset.
Alright, so the Hindi version.
Apna number de dijiye. So I would just use the word number. I don't know.
No, nombre?
Apna number.
Oh, अपना number.
Yeah, tum apna number de do.
Tum अपना number ne do.
Yeah, less Russian. Tum apna number de do.
Tu अपना
Apna. Apna number
अपना number
de do.
de do.
But what you're actually saying is, give me your number. You're not,
it's more
you're not
forceful.
asking for it.
It's like, no, you will give me your number.
That's how people talk in India. They say, you could say, "Kya aap apna number de sakte hain?" That would be like the very polite way of saying, "Can you give me your number?" But you're kind of literally saying, like, "Are you able to give me your number?"
Yeah.
So, but
like, I don't know.
apna number de do, that would be how some rascal in the street would speak to some girl in North India.
It's a
Unfortunately.
little bit more confident.
Apna number de do. Yeah.
I would say that's confidence.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like any kind of like malicious or aggressive kind of attitude towards, you know.
Yeah, but your parents aren't involved. Her parents aren't involved. You don't know what caste she is. You don't even know her religion.
That's another thing.
It might not be a suitable match.
Yeah.
I forgot that in India they practice the caste system.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have like the untouchables and shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, some would argue we have it in the United States too.
No, you're right.
Yep.
You're right. So,
But there,
so this previous conversation,
it's
though,
like
it's a little bit more formal.
Yeah.
It's
Here
more
we're
formalized.
looking at it
Much
in a little bit
formalized.
more of a.
definitely
We're Americans and we want to be progressive.
So as we're sitting here, we're like trying to like explain different languages to each other. This is another testament to as like why you would say that exploration and like adventuring outside of your country and literally just traveling the world and learning people is a good, fun experience.
I
You gotta be able to get out of your cultural bubble and understand that there's a whole world of individual experience behind a person's culture and nationality and appearance.
Yeah.
Every individual is just as complicated as we ourselves are.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do. Something that I do now that we're sharing stories. Something that I do. I am blessed with like the opportunity to go back home, either every summer or every other summer, depending on what all is going on. And that I think the biggest thing that gives me as someone that's already an immigrant, going back to my place of origin, it gives me a way to, because Moldova is the poorest country in Europe, so it gives me a way
financially.
Yeah, financially. Yeah, it's strictly economic.
Culturally rich as fuck.
Yeah, very rich people. But that we'll get into a little bit after. What I was gonna say is, I think going back to Moldova for me, it gives me an opportunity to really appreciate not only my position here in the States and what we all have. In terms of how freaking accessible and everything is to us, and how much of a great thing the freedom of speech is here in the States, to actually share your opinion, to say, okay, I don't necessarily agree with this, or okay, yeah, that's actually a great thing to do.
We don't use it enough.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of folks from overseas, from a lot of different countries, don't have.
They would love to have it too.
Yeah, they would love to have it.
Yeah.
Like not by choice, but they miss out on it.
Yeah.
Just by locale.
And this is why everyone looks at. I feel like this is why everyone looks at America in a very high regard, is because they see Americans as people that are quote unquote free, that have that freedom, that aren't afraid to speak their mind, and things of that nature, you know. So yeah, traveling for me is definitely very important, especially going back to where I'm from. And you know, coming, and like Nick said, coming from a country that's so poor on an economic scale, it really gives me the ability to understand the, on the one hand, worth of money, but on the other hand, the worthlessness of money. Like, money isn't everything. And I feel like living here, I get in this headspace of, what is my job going to be? How much money am I going to be making? What are my friend group associations? Yeah, and it's, you know, you go back home and it's not like that at all. Everyone has factory jobs, or everyone doesn't even have a job, that are just making things.
Another argument that me and a lot of my sailor friends have had.
Yeah.
When you compare the U.S. to other countries, you're looking at people that work to live versus live to work.
Yeah.
And in America, live to work is a big thing.
Yeah.
It is a big pain in the ass.
For sure.
Honestly, like, can we get away from that?
Yeah.
I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Like, money be damned.
Yeah. Well, sorry for cutting you off. I think something that, and if I could give the main thing of what I'm trying to say out of all of this is, I think something that going home and traveling made me realize is just how important the act of connecting with another human being is, of being close with another individual, of that intimate relationship that you have with the people around you, the way you look at those people. Like, when I look at a person here in the States drive their car and throw trash out of a window, that's something in my culture, and obviously we have those hooligans, right? Every place has that, but in our culture, we really, really, really take offense to that, because we, and again, I'm not talking about everyone, obviously, but a lot of people that I'm around when I go home treat our country like home. Would you throw a piece of trash in your house just like that? No, there's a designated area for that, right? Like, there's a fucking trash can right there, you know what I mean? Like, the importance of treating your surroundings like your home, the importance of treating the people that surround you like friends or like family. Like, we're all in this together. We don't necessarily have the means of affording everything that we would like, but because of that, that gives us an opportunity and a chance to work in a different direction, work in the direction of connecting with people, to working with people, you know, making the community a safer place and a better place for the younger generation, the younger kids, you know. So for sure, you're looking at your beer like you want to crack something open.
You know,
is this number 3?
So all right, before I crack it, I'm just gonna say that I'm really excited for this one. This is Terrapin Beer Company's Wake and Bake. It comes straight out of Athens, Georgia. I have actually traveled there and spent many a good night. Definitely partied my ass off out there. And yeah, Georgia has a place in my heart. I don't think I'll ever reside there, but I love to visit. But yeah, so we're gonna give this Coffee Oatmeal Imperial Stout a go.
Wow.
It's got another company to shout out to is Jittery Joe's Coffee. That's I guess they teamed up to make this a really gnarly little coffee stout.
Was that recommended to you, or did you take it off the shelf thinking, knowing Terrapin?
This one was another one that Carrie picked out. She's led me.
She knows what she's doing.
Strong and been my light at the end of the tunnel. For
Is that for me?
a couple
Thank
weeks
you, man.
now. But yeah, no, this one's pushing 9.4 on the volume.
9.4.
All right.
Wow.
So
Yep.
I don't have a single one that's under 5% so far.
And
You're hitting homers.
Yes, give it to me. The sweet elixir. I love Thursdays.
And I couldn't agree with you more.
Dogs. This has the strongest coffee smell.
I'm afraid it'll keep me up.
Oh, we got a splash.
It's a spitter. Did you get a taste? Get a wing on it.
Is this
For those of you without the video footage, my eyes widened as I drank it.
that camera's on right there?
It really does taste like coffee. It really does taste like coffee.
Yeah, that's a very, very bold coffee taste.
Yo, it's good, but I'm not big on coffee beers. I like my coffee. I like my beer.
This is both.
That's definitely when people talk about, oh man, that stout tastes like a coffee. That's got coffee in it.
This stout is coffee.
Yeah. It tastes.
Shout out to Jittery Joe's. That's some good shit, dog.
Yeah.
Terrapin, keep it going, bro.
Yeah, Terrapin keeps it real. Plus, they're $2.75 at College Hill.
I don't know if any of the listeners are aware of the secret society of the turtle. But
You explain this to me.
I had a turtle beer tonight. Is that part of that?
so what?
No.
What? Just what I'm gonna shout out is if there are any other turtles in the viewing community. What's up?
I thought you were about to make a turtle noise. And I was like, what is a turtle noise?
No, have you ever seen... hold on.
A turtle noise.
No, have you ever seen the turtles having sex? Hold on.
No, I can.
No, there's a turtle that makes like a weird...
Alright, text up to 362 if you think it's going to be shell on shell, and text down to 38 if you think it's
We don't
gonna
have
be...
that yet. We don't have that yet.
Oh! Oh no!
And then the lady turtle's just taking it. Yeah.
Wow.
You've never seen that?
That's wild.
No, I've never seen that. Not until now.
Well, there you
You're
go.
welcome.
Yeah. Thanks.
Alright, anyway.
Did that open your mind up a little bit, like traveling?
You kind of like, oftentimes you see animals and you're like, what is going on in the head of that animal? But other times you see animals and you're like, wow, I really understand what that animal feels.
That was one of the
And that was, I really understood what that turtle was experiencing at that moment. Which was a little bit weird to put me there at that second. It's like, I'm there for you, man.
See, I didn't know that turtles had that kind of vocal dexterity.
Capability.
Yeah. I didn't know that they could
Hit the high note like
make
that. Yeah.
fucking sound. Seriously.
Yeah.
But, yo, that turtle was getting it.
The turtle was getting it, and I kind of... Something that just came across to me was I wanted to get your guys'... Since we're talking and been focusing on the conversation of travel, what you guys think of just the capability and I we covered it a little bit already in the beginning, but I don't feel like we got as in depth as we should have. With the accessibility that people have, and knowing that is there. I mean, I get the whole financial thing, right? Like, I get the fact that people just don't necessarily have enough money, but I feel like when I'm overseas, and of course Europe is a smaller place, countries are way closer to one another, right? It's less of a hassle. What do you guys why do you guys think that Americans, I see this, I don't know if you guys see it, why do you think American people want to travel less? Because yeah, I
don't know if we Americans want to travel less because we.
Well, let me bring it a little bit more inwards so I can. So a lot of the time, for me, whenever I talk about travel with friends, they're like, "Why should I? I could go to San Francisco, or I can go to Orlando, right?" And it's like,
coming from the small town background that I do come from, I actually have a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances that I tell them about my travels, and they're like, "Well, why would you go there? Why would you want to do that?"
Yeah, like, people do say that. Why would you go to that third world country? That's what my uncle would say.
Well, for the first point, like, why would I want to stay here?
Like your
This is
eyes,
small
your
town North
eyes.
Carolina. Why
Do you
would
feel
I
like your
listen?
eyes have already been opened?
Yeah,
And it's like,
I've gotten a taste.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm wanderlust. And I'm just.
So where do you want to go?
Why you gotta ask me that? No, like I literally want to go just about everywhere. Like
Right.
there are few places I don't.
all right, top 3. Go ahead.
Sweden, Finland, New Zealand.
Sweden and
cool.
Finland are very close to one another.
Right, and that's why I would knock them out in like one go.
Why specifically Sweden and Finland?
So Sweden, I want to see just because like I want to understand how those how that society operates. It's got an odd drawl, in my opinion. I'm also like this kind of goes back into like me like liking cold, and I feel like right now would be
You're a freaking Viking, dude. You got some Viking like genes in you.
I think I'm like bigger than most Vikings would have been.
Oh my god.
Like I'm not sure what the average Viking height was or size.
They're huge.
I'm not sure they were. I'm really not because like humans have gotten bigger over time.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, with the hundreds of years in separation, like I would be larger than any Viking of like common Viking days.
But don't you think this is interesting? Size, okay, I'll give you that. But don't you feel like Vikings internally as humans were a lot tougher because of the elements, because of the fact that they had to continually fight?
Like societies as a whole
Yeah.
have gotten soft as baby shit. Like shit. I mean, like natural selection, homie.
Yeah.
To the fullest extent.
Yeah.
Like, think about the movie 300 when like they're talking about. I mean, it's completely fictitious, but that's kind of where we're shooting the ball at as an ideal. They're like, you know, someone's born with like imperfections and or like physical. What would you call it?
Deformities
or and like certain.
Yeah, like someone's not born.
Someone has a
certain
physical
status or a
disability?
certain standard. Yeah,
Yeah,
physical
disability. Yeah.
They just chuck them over the fucking ravine. Wolf will come by, eat it later. You know, so like, I feel like Vikings kind of live by a standard, and I from that standpoint, I don't know that I would fit in the Viking society. I would have a hell of a time with it. I'd laugh my ass off. Like, you want me to eat this? Or, like, I gotta wear this?
And just to clarify, we're not saying that those things are good things. We're literally just speaking about what Romans used to do specifically with babies that were born with physical traits that weren't necessarily deemed.
Thank you.
Part of Rome?
Sparta was, right?
Shit, I don't know.
Fuck, I think so.
It's
I
not
think
my
so.
strong point.
Yeah.
Was 300 about ancient Greece or ancient?
Yeah, they were Greek.
They were Greek and.
Well, I know specifically that Rome ended up fighting the Athenians, and the Athenians were the Greeks, right? And the Rome ended up winning.
We're going back to like.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
Well, I had something that I wanted to mention before, which was that we as Americans actually have, because our dollar is so powerful, we have a lot of privilege in traveling the world.
Yeah.
So I went to India, and to me, you know, I could buy the lassi for like $50 or whatever. But that might set someone else back if they're working, you know, a low paying job in India. That would set someone back. It's almost nothing to
See, India is one of those countries that allow for that low end labor. We're talking like sweatshops.
Oh yeah, everywhere, man. And you know, I could get my shoe repaired on the street for the equivalent of like $1.50. I could get not only my shoes repaired, but made durable. A man sits on the ground and he has his tools, and you bring him your shoes, and he sews them, he glues them, he does everything, and he says, pay what you want.
No.
Yes. And that's and the reason for that is the caste system. He's a man from a low caste, and he doesn't have the opportunity to get out of that situation. And feet are considered dirty, and since he's working with feet,
he's as low as they get.
It's a shame.
In that society.
People, yes, in that society.
I see.
It's a shame that he has no ability to get out of that place.
Oh man.
But don't you think? Don't you?
I got a problem with that.
Me too.
I want to like
I'm
absolutely
in the can. Right.
I want to very much clarify this before I ask this question, and I have a huge problem with that.
With it,
but I'm coming from the devil's advocate. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Do you think that we're already doing too much as Americans, as privileged people, to look at that society and ask those questions about?
Man, I thought about this a lot. Because the caste system is embedded in, Hindu text, spiritual text, and a lot of people in India will defend the caste system and say, it's a part of our religion. And it's not a part of my values to go against anyone else's religion,
right.
But in this case, in my view, I think that societies should work to help those in poverty out of poverty, no matter the society. And so I take issue with the popular sense in India that poor people who are poor and born poor have their place. I don't agree with that.
Okay, well, how about this? Staying on devil's advocate here. Do you think, having said that, do you think that, again, and once again, as an American, as a privileged person, you're doing too much to deem these people, quote unquote, as impoverished people, right? Every society has their own standards of living. Every society has their own standards of income. You coming from a place where the median household income is $55,000, right? Obviously, that would seem problematic to you, right? But I've never been to India, so I don't know. But to a person that is in India, getting $1.50 for shoe repair, maybe that's a great day for him. Maybe that's something that maybe he's paying the bills that way.
I hear what you're saying, but I still think that it's a struggle. I think it's a struggle.
So from your experience and the way that you've seen people live, you think that it's still a problematic?
Yeah, I think it's a struggle. I think poverty in any society is a problem, and it's mostly a problem for the impoverished people. And it makes it hard to if you get sick.
Yeah.
Where's your safety net? If you lose your job, how do you support the people who rely on you?
Kids and family. And
I saw you make a facial expression, and I'm so curious what's going on in your mind.
So I've got like one like big thought, and so one of my friends that I made in the Navy, he was a anthropologist. Prior service. And so what I learned from him is that when you encounter other cultures, you high key avoid altering said culture.
That's where I was coming from.
At any cost. So,
I agree with that.
So rolling off of that,
dropping 200 sounds problematic to me.
But all right, that being said,
Yeah.
I was given the liberty of paying what I felt.
Right.
So like, I'll readdress that in a moment.
Yeah, this is complicated stuff.
All right, so from an anthropology standpoint, and also like from the understanding that America is one of the youngest nations on the planet, 200 some change.
Yeah.
I have no right or reason to tell any other country older than my own how to behave, how to act, how to do business.
Yeah.
That being said, because I feel that someone acting out of earnest necessity deserves an opportunity to rise amongst their ranks, I'm giving the motherfucker $200. And that being said, I'm gonna see what he does with that $200. If he blows it, it's the last time I give him that much. If he does well with it, if he's like, you know, putting the money where it should be, like some sort of like investment for his like well-being in the future or towards his children, maybe I can't afford to give him $200 next time, but I'll make it worth his while.
Okay, well, coming at it from a different direction, I have a family friend, right, that traveled to one of the islands in the Bahamas. And
There's a few.
yeah, and it also gets a little bit into Haiti and the Dominican Republic, because I know they have similar circumstances.
I got a Haitian boy.
You got a Haitian boy?
I say boy, but I mean like he's a friend.
Yeah.
You say like I got a Haitian boy, sounds like some weird shit's going on.
Yeah.
Your friend is Haitian.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's of Haitian descent.
Yeah, I got you.
So
I got you.
What up, OGC? You're not watching, I know that, but
that camera.
I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
That camera.
That camera right there.
I don't trust this one anymore.
It's off.
How do we get it back on? I want it back on.
We'll figure it out.
I hate that camera.
So, something that she was talking to me about, this family friend, was the fact that a lot of the time, you as a tourist, you as an American tourist, get on a cruise ship, right? Sail your merry ass down to wherever the hell you're going, and you tend to stick on literally a plot of land that's an American hotel. That's all you do. You go.
Okay, so we're looking at the Jamaican resort scenario.
Yeah, exactly. And when you leave that said situation, which they don't recommend that you do, you really get to know what the country is like, what society is like in the country that you're actually visiting.
Right. That's like Mexico.
Right.
But yeah, please continue.
And so something that she said was, it was very difficult for her to see the way that people were living, to see the way that people were functioning as a society. And something that she said that was interesting was the country got a certain amount of money from America or from whatever country owns that hotel or organization. They send money because obviously their hotel is on that plot of land in that country. They send that money to the government or to that specific city, right? In order to pay their dues and in order to quote unquote help that community, right? Immediately, as an immigrant, I had a problem with that because you're giving money to a already group of people that are in politics, that are in the government, right? That in a lot of countries just pocket it. I mean, with a lack of a better term, just pocket the cash, or they don't distribute the money the proper way.
It's like the old adage: the rich get richer, the poor get poor.
Right, or the standard scenario of you take a taxi and you pay the guy, right, and that's how that person makes the living. It's problematic for me here because you're forcing these people to make a living off of tourism, off of people that come and just want to jet ski along the ocean, right? You're when you give a society, even if you're giving that society money in a high currency, they're not going to necessarily know what to do with that money. They've never had that amount of money. They're gonna, I don't know what they're gonna do with it, right? I think the biggest problem with that situation is the real currency, the real education is, the real currency is education. The real currency is not only give, obviously you have to support and you have to give, and there's organizations that do that, but the real currency is you go into a country and you work with the people to help them understand Not from your American context, obviously, but in their context, you try to insert yourself within their living situations, their culture enough so that, and that becomes a little shady too.
That's complicated too. They're both complicated.
Right, but I guess my underlying point is you can't just give people money like that because then they that results in them living waiting to be handed money, you know?
Yeah. So what happens with that is they become, I guess, they 100% are dependent upon that. Then they begin to live beyond their means, and ultimately it's an income that you can't depend on, and they're suckled at the teeth, and because they're living beyond their means, inevitably it hurts them.
Yeah.
I actually disagree with this.
Okay, go ahead.
Lay it down.
I think... Well, I disagree with it in part. I have an optimism, a view that if you give people, say, in debt, money, cash, straight, they will use that money to pay off the debt. That's one situation. If
for me, that's a hope.
Right. If they are struggling with feeding their family, they'll use that money to feed their family. If they're paying rent, they'll use that money for rent. I think that this is a debate because there are a lot of nonprofits that are doing direct cash transfer to people in developing countries. They'll just send money straight to these people. And I believe in these organizations. I think that these people will do with. I don't know, but if it were me, I would use it to support.
Here's where I disagree with that. I disagree with that because, again, you don't need to be giving people money. That's not, and I'm coming at it from a very direct point of view. So excuse my bluntness, but people don't need money. Money doesn't fix problems. Education fixes problems. Infrastructure fixes problems. If you use this money to build more schools, if you use this money to build more factories, if you use this money to build more community centers and things of that nature, that's where true progress comes within a society.
But the infrastructure and the schools have to come from that place. They have to be built by the people in that community and run by the people in that community.
Yeah.
But if the people in the community don't have money to build the infrastructure, then it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying is the money needs to be given to them to do that.
Yeah, but
if they're busy paying off their I don't know what like rent or certain things, right? That
they have to meet those basic needs before they can do that.
Exactly. That's where I think the problem is coming from. I think, and I don't know the specific statistics here in terms of how much money is given to certain countries through certain organizations, but I am 100% sure that it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money because I read certain stat sheets and I know it's many millions of dollars. Specifically, I'm looking at
U.S. dollars.
Yeah, U.S. dollars in countries like island countries.
It's debt too, though. I'm saying that a lot of the countries that have been previously colonized or are currently now being colonized in a different way.
Which is a wild concept.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's a wild concept right now.
That they're currently being colonized?
That things in 20 whatever.
Yeah.
We're colonizing stuff still.
No, man.
Wild.
Ethiopia, Chinese industry has so much control over Ethiopia because Ethiopia is in debt to them because they've built all of this infrastructure in Ethiopia that they can't pay off yet.
Yeah.
And it was intentional.
Yeah, no. As a militant mind, I blame China for so much like global degradation.
And we love China. We want to bring that across, but they've done some shady shit. All right.
I love the Chinese people. Chinese people are cool as fuck. The government,
Yeah.
fight me.
We do not
Fight me.
No.
do not support the industry colonization of Ethiopia. I do not support the oppression of the Dalit class, the untouchable caste in India. There are certain things that I can just be like, I'm white American male, but I will look at that and I'll say I oppose that. Come out of my American cultural bubble to take a stance on certain world issues, and those are some.
I had a milker.
Those are some that that really that really is braid.
I don't know why it did that.
You literally blasted all over me, dude.
Pause.
How long have we been talking?
About an hour and 30 minutes.
All right.
So you got another 10 or 15 in us, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
This is actually a conversation that might deserve a two-parter, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
It's kind of interesting because I feel like we know that we're coming from a place of ignorance.
Oh my God! America,
we know this, right? And so myself, I question how can I see clearly when I'm talking about human problems, right? Problems of poverty, problems of colonization, healthcare, human rights, these things. Like, am I able to look at a situation in a different country and to take a stance on it that is relevant or valuable and objective,
right? Oh man.
And it takes a certain amount of, belief and chutzpah. Yeah. The Yiddish
not
word.
lying for the schmeckles.
Right.
Yeah, I think something important.
And you never know, we're all shooting in the dark, but
I think something important to mention through all of this is whenever a person goes into a country, goes into a completely foreign society, I think it's very, very important, and this is like the main thing in anthropology, which is the study of culture, the study of people, is you cannot bring the culture that you came from to the culture that you're going to. You cannot. Right. Usually, a lot of the times when anthropologists go into a different culture, they spend at least a couple of months observing, not even touching anything.
Right.
Just observing, no interaction, observing, seeing how people do things, seeing how people communicate, learning kind of certain emotional traits that people have, certain trigger points. And then that's when they start kind of very, very slowly, very delicately kind of trying to go into that culture. Understanding what they understand. So all of this that we said has that in mind, just to be very clear. To the best of our ability, because we're no anthropologists here. I mean, I know Samuel is very.
No, man, I'm not an anthropologist.
No, not an anthropologist per se, but like you definitely did your thing.
I went through multiple phases, so that's why I sort of trust my views to a certain extent. Is I went through phases where I thought everything that I saw was good. Then I went through a phase where I thought everything I saw was bad, and then I went through a phase where. A longer phase where I was sort of picking through.
Where everything's subjective, kind of?
Or realizing that the previous phases were more subjective and that I was reaching a sort of deeper understanding.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Circle.
Yeah, I was reaching a sort of truer understanding as I was able to pick through my old prejudices.
Very, natural. Progression. I like that.
I think so too. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. You go somewhere and you're like, it's amazing here. Like, it's awful. I want to go home. See, you're like, it is what it is.
That was my perception and growth development with my experiences in Bahrain and Dubai. Because from the outside, Dubai is a gorgeous, like, buyer's community. It is a huge, like, luxurious, like, world-class place. Mm-hmm. But then when you really delve into it, you really, like, get involved with it, you understand that it's completely built upon third-party, like, how do you say this? It's like their entire head in the myth.
Their hair in your mouth.
Their entire, like, infrastructure, their entire oh shit, big words in my head. So, like, everything that is Dubai is built upon third-party sales. They have no exports of their own. Mm-hmm. And it is completely service-driven. The entire business community depends entirely upon indentured servitude. And once I discovered that, well, it fucked up my entire reality.
Wow.
You have these people from primarily Indonesia coming contractual agreements into the country to provide service for the wealthy. The wealthy who are feeding off of these third-party interests. Mm. And as myself, who I am, I cannot back that.
Yep.
Will not back that. In fact, I would like to do everything I can to stand against that. Mm. Because these people never get time off. They're paid, oh my god, so little fucking money for blood, sweat, and tears. Mm-hmm. I fucking hate it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so your growth, your development, mm-hmm. I relate to that.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, and me as well. I've definitely had my fair share of transformations. You know, it's a weird, because you guys are speaking about it from more of coming from America to a different country, right? Different culture, and looking at it that way. I'm coming from a different culture, a different country, going to America, and then going back to said culture. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I have had pretty much the same kind of experience, because let this be known, it took me 13 years to go back to Moldova. 13 years. 13 years of being an American, just living here without... I mean, obviously, you know, we would talk to my family via Skype and all of these different mm-hmm. things, but it's not the same, right? Mm-hmm. It's just conversations.
Yeah.
And then going back home, you kind of first get to a point of... This is... Well... The way I saw it is, this is shit. This is awful. Like, I do not have warm water to take a shower with. I have to use a hot bucket, right, of water that I just boiled up on the stove.
Yeah.
And pour over myself to wash myself.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, obviously that's not everyone's situation there. There's a lot of people that are living just like us, right? But in my scenario,
and
with my family,
people who have no running water,
right? Or people that are even in worse situations.
Yeah.
And so my experience was, my initial reaction was, I fucking hate it. I was depressed for the first week of going back to my own country.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And then I had a transformation. I started going out more. I started speaking to people more. I started reintroducing myself to where I come from, to my roots, to where I truly find myself and where I originated from. Mm-hmm. And then after that transformation, I had my third phase of, it seemed almost like a sense of clarity. Mm-hmm. I don't have to be on one side. I don't have to be an American, or I don't have to be a Mold. It's not about picking a side. Yeah. It's just about being a human being.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about loving everything and everyone around you as to the best of your ability, and to appreciate just the fact that I'm there, and just the fact that I have the ability to go back here and share that with other people, like our beautiful listeners and viewership and you guys.
I think that's a great ending statement. Is that we're all human beings, and we all ought to see the human being, see ourselves in every person we meet. No matter where they come from, no matter what color they are, no matter what language they speak, no matter what religion they practice, we're all, sharing this world and this experience together.
Exactly. Amen. Amen to that. And with that, we would like to wrap this podcast up. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Samuel, thank you so much for coming out.
I'm grateful.
Before we adjourn, before we call it out, before we quit, before we, wrap up and go home and hit our pillows, say, if you don't mind, for myself, for the viewers, tell us a little bit about what you got going on right now.
Oh, sure.
This camera, this camera, this camera, this camera.
So I am...
But mostly that camera.
It's entirely that camera.
So I'm running an after-school program in a community center that's in a big apartment complex where there are a lot of resettled refugees from Congo, Tanzania, Sudan, Myanmar.
Oh, Myanmar. Also known as?
Burma. So they speak Burmese.
They've got some very cool music culture there.
Really?
Yeah, my man.
You been there?
I haven't been there, but I've taken some classes and learned a few things. Drum culture is a huge thing.
Wow, cool. I'd love to learn about that.
I love some drums.
Yeah.
Anyway, alright, please continue.
Yeah, so it's... The predominant language is Swahili, but there's Arabic and Burmese speakers as well. And that's what I do every day is I help kids with their homework who are adjusting to English, the language, and adjusting to East Greensboro, which is not an easy adjustment.
From those cultural standpoints, not easy at all.
Yeah.
Coming from a refugee camp in Tanzania to, Far East Greensboro, going to, Hairston Middle School,
That shit ain't easy.
Yeah, that is not an easy transition.
And in the South as well.
In the South.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Well, fucking kudos on you, dog. Like, that shit ain't easy on you either. So, like, I know you got your work cut out for you.
Well, if you could tell the viewers if there's any way that people could support or
contact you
or anything like.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you share that with the viewership?
And I'll be proactive, and I'll go ahead and like drop any links I can in the description, just so that people can reach out to you and see if they can't help you or question you as need be.
Sure, yeah. So the nonprofit that runs these community centers that do refugee support work around Greensboro, the nonprofit is called the Center for New North Carolinians. So if you go to the website cnnc.uncg.edu, you'll find information about how to get involved. There are 4 community centers around Greensboro right now, and we're always looking for volunteers. If you go on the website, you can find a link to volunteer orientation. Sign up for an orientation, come to a meeting, and you'll be ready to help children with their homework.
Yeah.
And, be a mentor.
I need some help with my homework.
Right, man. Yeah, man. Your homework's a little harder than,
I got a marketing
2 plus
thing
5,
coming up.
a marketing thing.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well,
So there are a lot of immigrants in Greensboro, whether you're aware of it or not. There are a lot of immigrants and resettled refugees in Greensboro, people escaping war in their home countries, just like, my, great grandfather and, my mother, maybe not just like, but, people who have to escape their home country because they're in danger.
The same
and they end
harsh
up
reality.
In
it's a
Greensboro.
very heavy, harsh reality. Yeah.
Dire circumstances. And they end up right here in our community in Greensboro. So I say that we welcome these people and we offer them all the support that we can. since we know the system, we speak the language, we can assist.
Fucking hell yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. And with that, again, Samuel, thank you so much for coming out, speaking to us, as well as sharing your insights and your beautiful, beautiful work that you do for these people. And not for these people, for literally these people, for these human beings that are just like us. That is saint-like to me. And we appreciate that, and I'm sure our listeners listening appreciate that, and it's been a great podcast, boys.
This has been one of our more intelligent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything else we've done so far has been very degenerative.
Yeah. A step above the sex stories. Nah. It's all valuable, yeah.
We're human.
Yeah, we're human. And with that, thank you to you guys for so much, for getting to this point, for listening to the whole podcast. Thank you so much. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. YouTube, SoundCloud, we're working on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're working on all that. We're working on upgrading our equipment. So, thank you guys so much. We got a freaking
soundboard. We got fucking light shows going on now. I got a suntan from the night. I am not ready.
I'm grateful for y'all having me as a guest on here. It's been awesome.
And it's been an honor to have you, man.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, truly. All right.
Night, folks.
With that, we out.